Hey everyone, I'm about to start a new campaign. Now, we just finished one and it was exciting, had a good time, but now I want to do another one. I came to the table with my own kind of ideas, vision, but I talked to the players. I sourced the table a little bit and they drove me in a completely different direction. Maybe it's not the thing that I'm most excited about. So, how, as a game master, can I get into this new game that the players want to play that maybe isn't something that I was planning on doing?
Fighting monsters out of our league. We'll roll the dice and pray.
Everyone, it's Carl with Tabletop Tango. Look at the bubbles, do the stuff. Would love your support, emails, what have you. And we've got a podcast now called Mastering the RPG, which hopefully you can take a look at. That's more generic gaming type topics versus Savage Worlds type topics. So anyway, let's talk about my new campaign. So I came to the table like I do, and I have a video that talked about how I came up with my last campaign idea, or one of my previous campaign ideas. I came to the table with this vision of having a episodic kind of planet hopping sci-fi game, not completely a monster of the week sort of thing, but it had this overarching concept that the players were going to discover about the universe that's different than they had anticipated going into the game. So they would learn some big truth. I was really excited about it. But I did want to get the players' input on what they would like to see, and really came to the table with just trying to make sure, is it okay if there's a kind of a creature of the week? Is it okay that there may not be a lot of combat in some situations? That's what I was trying to get a feel. What they came up with and what they drove was they wanted to revisit a previous campaign I had where they played in a post-apocalyptics after the big digital dark age where everything disappeared, and they gradually learned about their planet. They understood kind of the future, or the technology that was from the past that was very futuristic, and they really learned kind of about the world, and they made a big impact on the world as a whole. They wanted to revisit that. And I, for the life of me, just was going, okay, now how do I do that? Am I excited to do it? Do I care? And so I came up with some questions I was asking myself, or things that I was looking at, hopefully to kind of drive me to get excited about this campaign. Because one of the big GM advice things all the time is you're not going to do a good job for your players if you're not having a good time or you're not excited about what you're doing. So for me, I started saying, okay, let me think about this. And maybe there's some of these ideas that I was thinking about. Maybe those are things you can think about as you're going into a new campaign that might not be exactly your vision. So the first thing I asked myself was, okay, so what can I love about their ideas? So I had my plan, I had my grand vision. But what about what they're asking to do can I get really excited about that I loved? And I did, right? I loved that they were coming up with these past truths in this previous game where they learned about their planet, and what really happened thousands upon thousands of years ago, while they kind of rediscovered the technology that was there, and they have a better understanding of what the world was. So that discovery piece, that's the piece that I think they were really interested in. So I love that. And I looked at what I was planning on doing, and I started grabbing those elements because remember, I had this overarching idea that they would discover something interesting about the universe. Well, they just got done telling me they want to do something that finds something interesting about what their world is. And so I said to myself, yeah, I'm excited about that. What I need to do is bring those trappings in, bring those ideals, those races, those things into this world. And I don't have to be tied down to that lore on the planet, because they're not going to be on the planet anymore. There can be completely different lore for completely different planets. So I got excited about that. I said, yeah, I can love that. So why not? Let's do it. And then the next thing is, as a game master, is like, well, what do I want from this game? What did I want to do? Well, I wanted to explore this narrative I had. And I'm going to say now, if any of my players are watching this video, and they don't, but if they are, I'm going to do some spoilers. So you might want to drop off here for a while, or maybe just not watch the rest of the video anyway. I think they're gone now. Anyway, so it's like, what do I want from this game? I wanted kind of this epic discovering things about the universe, and the thing I wanted them to discover is that they are essentially living in a simulation. So we have in our world, there's people who think, hey, we live in a simulation because of things like the Mandela effect, or the fact that there's deja vu and stuff, and this is all the code not running properly or a bug in the system, and that tells us that we are living in a simulation. And there's so many concepts around that and ideas that I said I kind of would like to explore that. It was going to be a lot easier if it was just bog standard science fiction, humans colonizing the space, moving out, discovering new species that maybe help them understand, like, if they run into species and they speak English too, it's like, whoa, wait a second, that means something. And learning all of that I can still do. I just trap it now in this. I stepped back and said, okay, well, this society found some of this advanced technology. They're starting to understand how technology. What if they fast forward? They were originally in the Victorian era kind of technology, almost steampunkish in a sense. But what do we get fast forward if they discover this and they understand what technology, and they have some people and they have some manufacturing capability, not to the level they can make chips or whatever. What would that mean? Well, okay, let's roll them forward to the late 40s, 50s. And so you'd have things like telephones, you'd have things like the internal combustion engine that was efficient enough, but with carburetors and that sort of thing. And what's that feel? But they've got this super advanced technology. So there could be a ship that's been orbiting the planet for thousands of years, that now that they're getting to that level of technology, and maybe they're finding these shuttlecraft buried long ago, now that they're really exploring the planet and they have more control over it, now they can get into space and they discover this ship. And so the plan now is to have them go out and explore to learn more about maybe the ancients went into space, and now we can find the ancients, as opposed to, we're just discovering, planet after planet of just different flora and fauna. So it was like, yeah, I can explore that, because what I want out of the game is to bring this concept to the players. Again, and I talked in a previous video, and I'll say it again, I come up with concepts and thought about a thing I want to do, like the one I was talking about that they finished was, it was all about what happens in a digital dark age because of rampant AI and technology gone awry, and ultimately there's kind of a singularity that happens and everything goes dark. And digital dark age means all this technology we have now, if it goes away, all that data goes away as well. So that was the concept I wanted to explore. And then I started building out adventures from that. Well, now I have a concept I can explore, and I've been able to weave in their world desires, to continue this, and I've weaved that into what I'm trying to do. So I got my exciting part because I thought about how what they want allows me to explore what I want to explore, but I tweak it to fit within that framework. Now, again, this is one of my homebrews that I'm adding another homebrew to, but I think that it's going to be true of basically any setting that you're working through. If players are exciting about a specific setting, or kind of, even like if you look at fantasy, I mean, as a DM or a GM, there may be different ways you want to explore it, and everybody's coming to the table trying to, do the basic dwarf, and they want that kind of feeling. Think about, what do you love about fantasy, and what do you love about your idea that you want to bring, and how do those can merge together? So what do you want from the game, right? Then I was thinking, so now I've got the concept. I've got this broad idea. I know what I want to do. I can now start taking and saying, what are the adventure paths that I can bring? So I bullet out some of the initial adventures, really bulleted them out. I'm literally, I have a OneNote, and I open OneNote and I create a page for adventure ideas, and I go, okay, within this world framework, again, the whole point is there's this world framework. I wrote down some key aspects of it, and I mentioned them, and then those key aspects I could take and roll forward to say, is there an adventure that can explore that? So again, they have a ship high technology that they don't truly understand. Okay, so what if there are people, and there were people in the previous campaign who were kind of anti-technology. So what if those anti-technology people have sabotaged the ship? So their first jump, what's the planet look like? Well, the planet's going to be, we're going to start telling a little bit of that story about what comes and goes. And so that planet's going to be where whatever biological species has killed itself off, and what's left is sort of the robotics that they left behind. You know, an AI just kind of managing itself kind of for the rest of eternity, because you know, it uses solar power, and it's got machines that can fix it, and the players are going to get there, and the sabotage is going to break the ship. Now they got to go down to the planet and somehow negotiate with an alien mind that they don't really understand to see if they can get what they need, because it's more advanced. It's an advanced society as far as technology goes, this AI, and use that to build out their ship so that they can get back. All of that would have been easy. You know, if you think about a normal science fiction, you might have been able to say, well, the ship's going to break down and they need parts, but you need to spend a lot of time coming up with reasons. Suddenly you've got that, you know, the cell phone fails at the last second because, or the car won't start, that sort of tropes. Why does it break down? Their engineer is more than capable of fixing their engines, because, you know, that's the whole point of the engineer, is to fix the engine. They certainly would not go without spare parts. So the whole premise of they get there and they break down and they have to go to the planet to get what they need to fix the ship would just kind of go out the window. And the only reason I can bullet out that particular adventure is because I ran with the ideas that the players brought to the table, and I said, I can guide my storytelling, and again, it's a shared storytelling, so they're going to change it as soon as they start playing the game, and, you know, as they're moving through the adventures, things are going to change and I'll have to adjust to them. But those first kind of adventures that I bullet out, I'm bulleting them out based on getting them back immersed into the world, the setting that they want to be immersed. They said they wanted to be immersed in this. So, all right, let's throw it at them. You guys don't understand this stuff. Bad things have happened. You know enough to do X. You're learning something about this planet, that there were biologics, so there's other biologics out there. You know, and they could start building on that. That's the first adventure. The second one is they're doing a travel into space. So they figure this out. They're coming back, and maybe there's an adventure now on why there's saboteurs figuring that out, working to get that. That might be a second one. So I bulleted that out, but that can happen almost anywhere. And then the third one, or would be the second one, is now they're getting ready to really push out into space. They need like cargo pods. They need things that they discover are on the moon, left over from the previous civilization, and now hilarity ensues as they try to convince whatever is protecting the moon base for all these thousands of years that they're okay. They should release this stuff to them. You know, the computerized systems there. Yeah, these are humans, or in their case, they're not really humans. There's dog people and cat people, bird people, you know, lizard people, and there's human-like people. So it's not Earth, but it's kind of like you think about pets on Earth that had been genetically modified 1,000 years ago and turned into intelligent species. Yeah, I kind of got that vibe. So, I worked through those adventure paths, bulleting them out, and I did a video on fast prep. A couple of them, or how to do an adventure in just a few minutes. And I think of the bulleted lists as that. You know, I've got the core of the idea that I can expand on, but I haven't invested so much time that if they take it in a different direction, that I'm now have invested, you know, 1,000 hours in prepping, getting everything ready to go, just to have them go in a different direction. Like, they may never go to the moon. They may not care, right? So how that ties back to what I was talking about is it ties back because the bulleted adventures embrace what they said, what they wanted, but solves a problem I'm trying to solve. So I'm building those adventure paths that immediately suck them into their setting that they wanted to. And then later, in the campaign, I can kind of let go of that a little bit, right? Because at some point they're going to be more than capable of running a starship. At some point they're going to have discovered enough societies that they're going to know they're not alone in the world, in the galaxy, understand what the ancients really did. They'll have, and I can release a little bit of that planet side world building that they love so much, and we can world build some more as they're exploring. So that's cool, right? So that's stuff I was thinking about. I don't know if there's a suggestion in there or not, but it's really think about what you loved about the setting or what you love about the setting, and then how does that connect with what you want to do and what do you want to merge. Think about what you want from the game, right? And then how do the adventures evolve based on what they want, that you're still doing in a way that gets you excited as well. The last thing I'll say, and I'm ready for this. The last thing to say is don't be afraid to stop. In manufacturing, there's in safety, like environmental health and safety kind of stuff, there's this idea of stop work. If you see a situation that's not safe or there's a near miss, you stop. You just stop. I guess that's kind of like pulling the emergency brake. You stop the line. You're not going to go further. And you have a conversation as to why you stopped it, what were the problems we encountered, and then you decide you're going to move on, you're going to keep it going, or you're going to fix something. So I'm prepared for that. I'm fully prepared for that. I've got about 3 adventures bulleted out. Usually with a big arc, I might have some story beats way off into the discovery. Right now, I just had the concept, and I have a couple adventures ahead of me that I can do. So maybe I'm setting myself up for failure. I don't know. But just some stuff I was thinking about as I was getting this new campaign off the ground, kind of how I was responding to the players and their desires and their desire to come back to a world that I had created for them previously, and they wanted to explore more in it. I think it makes sense. These questions and thinking through makes sense for other settings or things that maybe you're not used to doing, and the players give you a great idea on how they want this world to be set. Okay, you can work with that. Just look at what you love. Think about how you weave your narrative that you're hoping to get out there into what they're asking for, and then finally. Be prepared to stop. If it doesn't work out, no big deal. We'll do a different campaign. It's not going to kill anybody, right? So anyway, this is Carl with Tabletop Tango. Look at the bubbles, do the stuff. We'd love your support. We'd love your emails. Just drop us a comment, thumbs up, all that good stuff that makes YouTube happy and makes us get a little more widely viewed. So thanks again for everybody who supports us, and keep watching for the next video.
Fighting monsters out of our league. We'll roll the dice and pray they're nice. A +2 and I might succeed. Whether Cthulhu or D&D, or what's on Drive Through RPG.